All right, today we're going to review some of the system of inequalities from Algebra 1. One of the things that we want to start with is determining what is a solution and what is not a solution. The shaded area here that is double shaded, that is the solution to the system of equations. The ones that are above this one solid line, all of this is a solution for that line. The ones that are below this dotted line, those are all solutions for the dotted line. But for the system of equation, it has to meet both of those requirements. So it would be the area that is shaded right here, double shaded, where the two shades meet. That is your solutions to the system right here. When it is a solid line, those two are solutions as well that are on that solid line. The ones that are on the dotted line or dashed line are not solutions. Remember, a dashed line comes from when there is not an equal sign, so it can't be equal to those points on the line. So solid line, yes, solution. Dashed, no, not a solution. Double shaded, yes, a solution. Single shaded, not a solution to the system of equations. So when we look at points to see if they're a solution or not, 0, 0 is out here on the dashed line. It is not a solution. -1, 4 is a solution to the solid line, but it is not a solution to the system since it's not in the double shaded area. So that would be a no. 4, 1 is right here. That is in the double shaded area. That is a solution. -3.5, -1.5 is over here. That one is not a solution to any of them. So that would be a no. And 2, 2 is on the dashed line. We said on the dashed line is not a solution, so this 2 would be a no. So when you are determining whether it's going to be a solution or not, you want to look at where the point falls. If it is in the double shaded area here, yes. If it is on a solid line here, yes. If it is on the dashed line, a no. Now over here on the solid line would still be a no because it is not where the two are together. All right, for graphing these are set up as y equals. So you can graph these just like you would graph any other line. We use our y-intercept of 3 to go to 3. We use our slope of -2 to go down 2 and to the right one, down 2 to the right one. Once you feel like you have enough points, then you can stop and draw your line through them. You can also go up to and to the left one would be the same there. The next thing you're going to have to do is look at the sign and determine whether it is a dashed line or a solid line. When you have just the greater than or less than signs, that is going to be a dashed line. When you have the equal to signs, that's going to be a solid line. So in this case, there's no equal sign, so this is going to be a dashed or dotted line. So I'm only going to connect a few points here, not all of them with a solid line. So you can tell that one is dashed there. For our second one here, we have y is less than 3. So we think about the line y equals 3. When we had y equals a number, that was a horizontal line. So we want a horizontal line at 3. Again, it's going to be dashed since there's no equal sign. Now to determine our shading. Y was on the open side of this inequality. So y is bigger than this line. Y gets bigger as it goes up. So we would want to shade above this line as y is going up. So this whole area is shaded. For this one, y is on the closed side of this. So we want to shade below the 3 because y gets smaller as it goes down. When y is on the closed side of that, it is smaller. Y gets smaller as it goes down, so the double shaded area would be this part right here. This is where all of our solutions are found. We would find none on the line since they're both dashed. This is the double shaded area. This is the part that we really care about, so that's the one that you want to make darker and understand that's where the solutions are. All right, we'll do this next one here. On our first one, we've got x is less than or equal to 3. So we want to go back to Algebra 1 and remember that when we had x equals a number, that was a vertical line. So we want a vertical line at 3. This one does have an equal sign underneath, so we want a solid vertical line. There it is. X is on the closed side of this, so it's saying x is smaller than this. We know that x gets smaller as it moves to the left. So right now we have all of these over here. Now we want to draw our second one. -1 is our y-intercept, and 1/2 is our slope. So we want to go up 1 and to the right 2, and up 1 to the right 2. Until you feel comfortable, you have enough points. If you go to the left, you would want to go down 1 and to the left 2. This one too has an equal sign underneath, so we would want to connect our points with a solid line for this one. Y is less than or equal to this line, so y is smaller, and y gets smaller as it goes down, so our shaded area is this part right here. This is where we're going to find all of our solutions, in this double shaded area. Every single point in here is a solution. All of the points on the lines are also solutions since there was an equal sign. We're going to go ahead and do one more since they're not in the y equals format so that we can practice that. In this case right here, we would want to solve for y. By subtracting the 2x to get it to the other side. So we get y is less than or equal to -2x plus 4. I go up to 4, and then I use my slope of -2 to go down 2 and to the right 1. Again, we have a solid line because there is an equal sign there, so we would want to make a solid line through these. The y is on the closed side, so we're going to want to shade below because y is smaller than this here. We would want to shade below this. So far we've got that part right there. Now we need to solve for y on this second one as well. Before we do that, you can go ahead and graph with intercepts if you remember that from Algebra 1. In order to find the x-intercept, we plug in 0 for y. If I plugged in 0 here, that would go away, so x is 8. So our x-intercept would be 8. If we want to find our y-intercept, we plug in 0 for the x, so that goes away. That's 2y is equal to 8, and so we take that 2 and divide it to both sides. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. That's this point right here, so we can make a line through both of these points. That's graphing with your intercepts. You can always do that as well. I'll go ahead and solve for y so that you've got that part as well. We subtract the x to get it to the other side, and we get 2y is greater than or equal to -x plus 8. And then we divide by 2. Notice we're doing the same thing as if there was an equal sign. The only thing different when you're doing this is if you divide by a negative, then you would need to flip the sign. So we've got -1/2 x plus 4. We had already determined that was going to be our y-intercept at 4. And then we went down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, and you see the line is right there. And both of those were solid because it had the equal sign. Now, y is greater than or equal to in this side, so y is bigger than this line. So we want to shade above this line. So the part that's double shaded is this small part right up on the top here. Some of you guys are going to be using your calculators to graph this, so I want to make sure that you know how to do that as well. I'm going to put in my equation just like I would if it was an equation, negative 2x plus 4. Now to put in this less than or equal to, I go in front of the y equals. So you go all the way in front of the y equals. If you've got the color one, it's going to pop up a menu. If you've got one of the older ones, all you have to do is hit enter there and it will start to change that for you. But if you've got the color one, it's got this little menu. Once you hit enter on the other one, you're going to get these same exact ones. So that right there means greater than. That triangle on the top is greater than. The triangle on the bottom is less than. This is less than or equal to, so that's the one that I want, is that triangle on the bottom. For the second one, I'm going to go ahead and put in our equation, negative 1/2, and I'm going to put it in as a fraction. So I hit alpha y equals to get that numerator over denominator. 1/2. Again, I go in front of the y equals, and we're pushing enter. If you have the older calculator, if you've got this newer one, then you are going to just flip through the little thing here. So greater than or equal to, that's the triangle on top. So greater than is this triangle on top. I hit OK. And I'm ready to graph. So when I hit graph, it is going to go ahead and graph the entire thing for us. So there's our first line, which we had graphed. Here is our second line, which we had graphed. And the part that we care about is that double shaded area, which is the same thing the calculator is showing you right here. This would be the double shaded area. So you can use your calculator to help you graph that portion. If you're using Desmos, it will also graph that for you. So you could use Desmos as well. All right. We're going to talk about one more thing, going back from the graph already. So in this case, you have to put a little more thought to it because you're going to work backwards, and you can use the graph on the graphing portion. But for this one, you need to think through here. So we want to write the two equations that we have. I'm going to start with this first one right here. My y-intercept is 1, so I'm working backwards from what we did on the last page. And I know that my y-intercept goes there at the end, so I'm going to start with that 1. The other thing I need for the equation here is the slope. So I'm going to check that, and you want to make sure you're looking for the ones that are on whole numbers. So this is going up 1 and to the right 1, and up 1 to the right 1. So our slope is 1. And then I've got my y here. The last thing to determine is what's going to go here for the inequality. Since this is a solid line, I know it's going to have an equal sign. And now we need to determine which way is this line shaded. It is shaded above because this space is open. There's no shading there. So I know that this line is shaded up this way. For it to shade up, the y has to be bigger because that's where y gets bigger. So that needs to be on the open side of our inequality. For this second one, that's a horizontal line. We know horizontal lines are y equals. And in this case, it is at 3. So that would be what's here. Now we determine which way it is shaded. This is shaded down. So the y is getting smaller. It is also dashed. So for the y to be smaller, it needs to be on the closed side of that inequality. And in order for it to be dashed, there has to be no equal sign. So you need to be able to go from the graph to the equations as well. You want to think about the shading, think about the solid and dashed lines and what they mean. So quick recap, solid line, equal sign. Shaded above means it needs to be on the open side. For this one, dashed line, so no equal sign. It is shaded below, so it has to be on the closed side of that. All right, we've got one word problem down here. We're going to practice writing that from the words to the inequalities. It says, today's the last day of your vacation in Mexico. You have enough space on your carry-on bag for no more than 20 gifts for your family and friends. Mini sombreros cost $3 and maracas cost $6. You have a budget of $90 in cash. In order to write these equations, you would want to look at this part here. It says no more than. That means we can get less. So that's how we know that it is an inequality instead of an equation. Same thing with budget. That's as much money as you have, but you can still spend less. So again, that's an inequality, not an equation. What we're talking about here is the sombreros and the maracas. So that's where we want to start. Define our variables. So X is going to be our sombreros. Y is going to be our maracas. Now that we've defined our variables, we can get started with our two inequalities. It says we have space for no more than 20. So our sombreros plus our maracas, in order to show this no more than, we have to think about which way we want the inequality sign here. Do we want the X plus Y to be bigger, or do we want the 20 to be bigger? No more than means this is the most I can put in the luggage, so that has to be the bigger one. So it has to be on the open side of that inequality. Since we can get all 20 in there, then we need an equal sign. The next one is for the budget, $90. So we need to add value to our sombreros and maracas here. So we get $3 times each sombrero plus $6 times each maraca, and then the 90. And now we need to decide which way the sign goes here. So we think, do we want this bigger, or do we want the 90 bigger? Well, the 90 has to be the biggest. That's all the cash we've got. So that's where we need to stop it. That's got to be the most, so it needs to be on the open side of that. We can spend all 90, so we can also use the equal sign there. The equal shows all of the $90. And there is our system of inequalities.